Welcome everybody to today's Family Talk. We are joined today by Director Jeff Davis, and we're going to do a little conversation about the budget that was just recently passed by the legislature and Governor DeWine, and just want to go over some of those highlights of the budget and how families can expect it to be used and some programs that might come out of it. So just jumping right into it, this is a $370 million investment in the disability system. Say a little bit about what that means to have that much money approved in the budget.
Well, significant, I suspect, in every way. It's fortunate, right, that the legislature and the governor's office and his team were supportive of our system and the kinds of priorities that we established throughout the budget. So I'd say it is meaningful, significant, historic, certainly impactful, we trust, and then there's just an amount of good fortune involved.
And of that large investment, the majority of it is going towards DSP reimbursement rates. What's the significance of that?
We ask a lot of our DSPs. There are multiple facets and components to that work. It's valuable work, requires judgment, requires empathy, understanding, all of that, right? And so I think it's our obligation to acknowledge, right, that is essential work in our system, and that you've got to pay them as well as you can, and that just requires additional tax dollars to do that. So I am proud of what we're able to accomplish in this budget. We've taken the average reimbursement wage, so to speak, from $11.12 ultimately to $13.23. Now, that will have its own impact. It's hard to predict exactly what that impact will be, right? But I'm hoping that it will allow our providers to bring more folks in the door to get a sense of our system, and then if we nurture them and support them in an ongoing way, I hope that wage will begin to make a difference.
The budget also has a $24 million increase for early intervention services. We know the importance of those services. Say a little bit about what you expect.
Our partners at the county level, I think, are doing a beautiful job historically. I think that's one of the better things that our system does is early intervention, and how we attack that and how we work with families. It hasn't been reimbursed over the years in continuing ways, probably like it should have. So I'm really appreciative of this administration for putting that money in there for us. We'll get it out to our county partners. This drug epidemic, we feel, I hear that all the time, we feel that on the ground level. That's what we see. So many of these children are coming to us with parents, one or both, that have addiction issues. So it's crowding into our system, certainly in the ways that it's crowding into others. So this will help us get a piece at that. We're going to get lead exposure, and neonatal naps. I think we're going to get at some things with this money that we haven't been able to do before. But basically, it's just reinforcing the fact that this piece of the puzzle, again, this early intervention, is critical to our system's overall success. But more important to our system, it's critical to the success of families with young children.
Another investment is in MultiSystem Youth services, and so kind of changing a little bit of the structure of the ICF program that is expected to bring in about $11 million for MultiSystem Youth through those programs. What does that mean?
So I guess I would say I'm a lot older than you are, and I have been in this system a long, long time. We've talked about serving these children with really challenging behaviors, typically that might have eligibility in one way or another in multiple systems. They touch a number of systems. So we've talked about it forever, but we've never truly built provider capacity in any structured way to serve these children and these families. So if anything, I'm most hopeful about this, maybe sort of proudest that I think we can deliver on a commitment that we're going to make to try and serve these children. So we're going to work with our private providers and our county boards and professionals, and as you mentioned, that ICF piece. So we think we have a funding stream that will allow us to begin to build provider capacity to serve these children that have such intense needs. And we're going to do this in a way that is very, very structured. I can't say that enough. I have said it now thousands of times probably, but this is going to be very structured, centrally directed, out of the department, so that we have consistency in training, consistency in expectations. So the providers want to join us in this journey, right? They know what is expected of them, how we're going to train staff before we get them in the homes, how we make sure that truly communication between all the parties is taking place. I know we can do it. There is success out there. Once you find that magic and that love with that child, really where they have some faith, right, and belief, then you can begin to turn that life around. The ultimate goal, is that this is temporary. I'm not talking about taking a child and then the child lives with that provider forever. That's not what I'm saying. The hope is that you can re-engage, right, that child back with their family, certainly where appropriate, with other situations. I know that we'll have some where the stay is longer, but most of this is meant to be, that temporary where we can go in and really, really help, stabilize that child again, give them some feeling that there is, care and love, and expertise in how you do all these kinds of things, and then see where you can, right? So I'm hopeful. This is not going to be a light switch. We're going to work on this. The capacity will build over time. But I'm very hopeful, right? Then we can have a meaningful impact in the lives of these children and their families.
Another investment is about $26 million to modernize the non-medical transportation service available in the waivers.
So I'll bet I hear as much as anything, for individuals when they will be given an opportunity to speak for themselves, or families, right? Transportation. That's the thing. That's the thing that keeps them from getting to work. That's the thing that keeps them, from feeling truly integrated in their community. That's the thing. That's the hiccup, that barrier. I hear it 7 times out of 10 when an individual, mostly adults, right? When an individual will say, I bet it's 7 out of 10. They say transportation's a problem. So we know that we've got to get at that. It's a much bigger problem, even so, than just our system. But there are some pieces to the puzzle that I think we can attack now. So 12.5 million a year is not going to change the entire system, but it will let us put some, incent certain kinds of things that we want. Those where you have to have adaptable vehicles, we want to get there. Some smaller vehicles that are more efficient, that allow you to be a little more nimble, during the day or off hours. We've got to get at that. So I think we can do something in the short term to help our transportation, provision of transportation, but recognizing that ultimately the discussion on transportation is much broader. As you know, we're going to have this, much bigger in how we really get at it.
A couple of things that are continuing in this budget are the interagency work group on autism and the Employment First Task Force. How important are those?
They're essential. You built them, we'll build on them, right? So we can talk about that however you wish, but we're on that path. We're not going to deviate.
Yeah, both of those work groups, both the task force and the interagency work group on autism, are comprised of multiple members of multiple state agencies that come together and work through and come up with possible solutions to various issues in the employment area and in statewide services for folks with autism. So 2 very important, one a task force and one a work group that really drives a lot of information across the state in those areas.
There's a lot to do. There's still a long way to go, with employment. Obviously, the issue with autism and the spectrum. Truly, it seems like a whole human community is working on that, but we certainly are as well. We want to get at. I mean, I've said this, enough that I don't know what to say, but I really believe that fundamental to everything is truly how you know, how one treats one another, you know, and how a system of professionals treats individuals, supports individuals, and the same with their families. So, you know, first and foremost, you know, that it is that sort of, that understanding, empathy, kindness. I mean, that's underlies everything that we talk about, and how we get you know, help a system of professionals at whatever level understand that, you know, it really is about being nice, being empathetic, listening, and seeing as much as you possibly can, how can you get to yes? How can you get to yes? And you can't do that. No system can do everything for everybody. It will never happen. But we want to see if we can't, right, ingrain and weave into, you know, the narrative of professionals in our system. How can we, are we listening, right? Are we trying to take steps to help as much as we can, accordingly here? So I promise you, in one way or another, you know, throughout our particular time together, you know, that's always going to be front and center.
The budget process is not done in isolation. Lots of input from lots of folks, lots of families, lots of people with disabilities who I know you have talked to over the past few months. Talk a little bit about how important that input is.
That input and that advocacy, you know, is essential. I mean, you know, can't make or don't want to make decisions in isolation. You never want to. If you're truly empathetic or you truly listen, then that's exactly what that advocacy is made of. So we want to continue to find ways, right, to help people feel that their voice matters. It can't, you know, having a voice means that you have input, doesn't it? Whatever position that you're in doesn't necessarily mean that you get everything that you want, or that is, but as long as you know, there's some faith in our system that you know, our department wants to listen to you, and our county structure wants to listen to you, and our provider structure, right, and actively listens, you know, and I think we can continue to move down the path. With respect to advocacy on the budget, I mean, it was truly remarkable, right? And that's, the budget is a statement. It's a statement of priorities in many ways. It always is, whether it's our particular system or taxation or anything else. It really is that piece of legislation every 2 years that is basically says, as a legislature, as a governor, these are our priorities, and you put your money sort of where your mouth is. And then I think for these 2 years, it is a sort of a rate, right? It's a kind of a provider-heavy budget when you think about it, because most of it is into rates. But it really is an attempt to understand that we have some, I guess I would say, deficiencies, and we've got to address them. You've got to get money into the staff's hands. You've got to get money in some respects into providers' hands in one way or another, so that they can do the kinds of things that we're asking of them. So, I mean, that's, and I feel really good about what we're able to accomplish.
I think that's a great spot to end on there. The investments into the system and everybody working together and input being provided, because these are just investments at this point in time. There is a process that we will go through to make sure that they're implemented, and what you just said around listening to everybody will continue to happen as we figure out what the next steps are. Thank you for your time, Director. Thanks to everybody who's watching. If you want more information about any of these initiatives, visit our website, dodd.ohio.gov. And if you would like to be involved in any of the processes, we have ways for you to sign up to get information and to sign up to be to have your name listed as somebody who's interested in providing input in these processes. You can visit that portion on the Supporting Families section of the website. Thanks again to the Director for being here with us, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.